Hey, Egg Teacher Thoughts here, coming at you with another video. We're going to review a few more of the blossoms that have come up on our Firefly Petunia hybrids. So these are the ones that we've crossed with standard colorized petunias, and we've got a few color blooms that have come out, and I'm pretty happy with what's resulting. I've got to have a little bit of free time to go through and sort some of those out so that I have them kind of in color families. But each day now we've got new blossoms opening. So I'll show you some of the ones that I've found, and we'll kind of look at their attributes and what I think will be good or bad, or what we might pass on. All right, let's go ahead and start and look at some of those Firefly hybrids. So here's a nice bright pink. So this is kind of a pastel pink. It's got a white with a little bit of purple veining down the throat. This one's another... It's a little bit darker of a purple. They do still seem to glow, so I'm going to take a look at those again tonight and see and kind of make some determinations of what I think of their glow with the blossom. Another pink that's fairly similar to the one previously. There's a pinky purple, similar to that pinky purple. There's a little bit darker purple. And we have just a very, very faint, there we have just a very, very faint blush. Here's our pink again. So we got a lot of them in this same pink tone. So I think we're going to pick the best plant out of this, and that's what we'll move forward on that. Here's another pinky purple. This one has a fantastic throat. It's got a purple throat. This is definitely one that I'm going to continue with. I like that. So yellow transitioning to a purple throat gives a little bit of interest there. It's more pinky purple. These are some of our, it's almost a blush, but it has that purple veining. Here's an actual blush with purple veining. That one's going to be a little breezy. That's going to be quite similar. There's a blush with purple throat. There's that pinky purple again. That one's been ravaged by a bug, but we've seen that one before. Here's another one with a little bit of a deeper throat. Oh, this one's done already. That was quick. That's a little bit lighter of that pinky purple. There's more of the darker purple. There's another blush with a purple throat. So pretty clear that we have some consistent colors on this as far as our cross-pollinations. So yeah, I mean, it totally answers the question, hey, did the Firefly Petunias hybridize with our colorized petunias? Yeah. Did they maintain that glowing gene? Yep. And in case you don't remember, this is what a regular Firefly blossom looks like. So it does have a yellow center in there, so a yellow throat, kind of a green lime yellow. Okay, 5 petal blossoms. And let's bring one of these others over there next to it. You can see that there's a massive difference in size. The fireflies also have that point, and these are more rounded on their lobes of the petal. So we're doubling the size of the blossom, adding in some color. And then the other thing on these, the hybrids, is the stem is actually what glows the brightest. And these are really tall. These are about the same age as the firefly cuttings, and there's a big difference on height. So overall, I'm pretty happy with how the hybrids are turning out. We're going to maintain some of those colors. We'll grab some of them that have that purple throat. We'll advance that genetic on. We'll grab some of the pink and then the pinky purple, and we'll advance those on. We're going to cross them back to our originals, and then just kind of depending on which plants we think perform the best or look the best as far as structure, we'll kind of decide from there of what our breeding stock is going to be. The other thing I'm going to do is, after we start doing the cross-pollinating back to the original Firefly, I'm going to go through and I'm going to do some pinching and see how those plants start to react to a little bit of care as far as what a nurseryman would do. So pinches and seeing if we can get branching, because right now most of them are just one main stem, and I want them to branch out and be a little bit bigger. So this is an example of a normal Firefly Petunia. So it's about 20 inches or so across on a larger container, holds about 3 gallons of soil. That's my main plant. So I've got this in a container, and I'm going to kind of show you how some of these go. So I'm hoping, you know, this is a little bit more compact than these varieties up here. But we're going to definitely work with these to try to make sure that we have a plant that's going to work good in the garden. And it's going to take crossing back and forth several times, making sure that we only keep those plants that glow really well and then bring that color back in. So there's going to be a lot of work there. But yeah, very, very, very happy with how this is turning out. And I'm almost through. I don't know if you can see that there. I'm almost through labeling my pots. This one is F124.018 is the number on this one. So I'm going through and labeling all of those so that I know when it's time to do pollination work or crossing, I'll know what specific plant it came from. But the other thing is when I get plants that are a duplicate or it doesn't have the physical characteristics that I'm looking for, those are going to be retired, which means they're going to join my other Firefly Petunias in my garden this year. One of the things I am kind of interested and excited about is the darker purple color that we have. It's crossed with this petunia here. And this one was one that withstood some colder temperatures. So it went down to, it was -4 degrees 2 years ago. It was able to withstand that. So I'm hoping a little bit of that resilience carries through in the Fireflies so that they can be a little bit tougher. The other thing that I've got up here, this is one of my beds of my retirees. So these are all the ones that I was working on last year. They had that really heavy pruning right at the end of the school year. Well, actually about month and a half ago or so. They got a really heavy pruning, and then they were planted here in this little raised bed that I was working on. And this is where they're retiring to. So they are going to be out here in the full sun, and that's full sun here in North Idaho. Our particular home, in July, we usually average between 105 and 115 degrees. So they're going to get the full blast of summer, and I haven't really seen anything on these yet that they really struggle with that. The blooming does slow down a little bit. We have to be a little bit careful with our feeding and making sure that they're not running out of water. I have an automated sprinkler system, which is going to help, but I'm going to have to supplementary feed them. But yeah, that's one of my beds that I'm going to be working with, and it's got a few other things in it. It's got my iris that I did crossbreeding with last year. I've got 4 iris that came up that I'm really excited to see. And then I've got some daylilies down here behind me that I've got to get in the ground today. And those are the rest of my crossbreeding from last year that I've got to get situated. But yeah, so that is where we're at as far as the Firefly Petunias. I'm going to add them to a couple more beds. This one does get an errant light strike from a nearby business. Their security lights at night do shine on this bed, and I am in the middle of a city, so I get the errant street lights. So it's not as bright as if you took a Firefly Petunia in your home, but once you spend about 10 minutes outside and your eyes adjust to the night, you are able to see the Firefly Petunias glowing, just not as intensely as you would have it in an area with no security lights. So yeah, we're going to be working on a few other things. There are going to be a lot of our culls, our material that we're not going to be using anymore, that is going to go into the flower beds. So by the time I'm all said and done, I may have a couple hundred Firefly Petunias spaced out this season, which, I don't know, does that make me one of the largest private holders of Firefly Petunias? Could be, but at least, you know, it's going to give me an outlet for my breeding projects, and I can experiment with where to put them. I've got some shade locations, I've got some sun locations, I've got some part sun locations, and I can put those Firefly Petunias there, or at least the hybrids, and get a better idea of how they're going to perform for me. So there are a few, like this one, which is just pretty much a plain white, that I'm probably going to cull out right away. Not super impressed with this one, so we're probably going to depart with that one. And then I have one of my breeding stock that did get silenced. So it was a glowing cutting when I planted it. Somewhere along the line, that plant got stressed, or something happened, and that plant silenced itself, so it doesn't glow anymore, and he'll get retired into the garden too. But we're still working with them. Still early on. I've got about a flat and a half, maybe 2 flats of plants that haven't actually opened yet, that we'll get a look at probably later this week. And then I can start going in and trimming the plants back, and then starting to select my blossoms that I'm going to work with as far as our hybrids and our pollination. With that, I still have one more week of work left at school. I've got some events to do with my students, so probably the week of 2 weeks from now is when I'm going to get a chance to really start in here, and I'll start up doing more videos on cross-pollination and selecting plant material, and we'll go from there. But yeah, I just figured I'd give you an update video. It was really breezy last night, so I wasn't able to spray for budworm, but that's something that hopefully the wind will calm down a little bit, and I can do that tonight. And then I've noticed that I've got some aphids that have started in, so I'm going to do a little bit of homeowner aphid care, and I might cover a little bit about that. So homeowner version, not school version. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed following along with this process, and that you're learning things, and that you're just as excited as I am to see some of those blossoms, because it's pretty fun to realize that with our glow-in-the-dark Firefly Petunias that we can come in and add a little bit more vigor, we can add a little bit more color, and we can add a little bit more of a pop to our garden in the daylight, and then still enjoy that glow at night. And honestly, with these, what I would probably do is I would interplant my colored and my white petunias so that I have a mixed bed that the entire thing glows. So I'm pretty excited about that. The best thing about this is, other than the Firefly Petunia, none of the other petunia seed was patented. So this is something that can be turned around and routed back to those growers for Light Bio if we come up with one that works really well. And maybe that's something that they want to take on. Maybe. I don't know. But anyway, at least I'm enjoying it, and I'm getting a product that I like and that I enjoy for my garden. And I hope that for you, it at least sparks an interest in plant breeding and genetics, and inspires you. As always, I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed. Ag Teacher Thoughts out.